I've been living in Spain for the last 2 months. I wanted to make a video not only to explain why I came out here and made the decision to do it, but what I've learned and some lessons that can actually be passed over to you if you feel like there's a decision that you want to make, but you're not 100% sure whether to make it. And from what I've done here, I can tell you that eventually it'll be worth it. So I decided to leave the UK because I didn't feel like it was a place that I wanted to be right now. I have a bunch of commitments that are coming up in the summer, and I had this gap where I wanted to get away or an opportunity that I could get away. And I wasn't leaving the UK because it's kind of inherently bad. There are issues that are going on. And here in Spain, and I'm in Barcelona, there are issues, and it's well documented that there's issues going on in this region. But I was feeling like I was a little bit stuck and isolated where I was. I had moved in the UK into Hove, Brighton, and it's an area that I absolutely love. It's like grown up, and I would never be anywhere else in the UK if I was living in the UK. But I felt that through the fact that my community, my friends that have all evolved and they're all growing up, settling down, having kids, getting married, and I wasn't in that situation, I was starting to feel like a black sheep. I'm 35 years old, and you start to realize that as you do get to that age, that your friendships and the time that you spend with your friends is reduced, and you are going to be spending less time with them because they have other things going on and life just gets busy. And I was finding I wasn't doing similar things, and I was following different interests, and I was pursuing different passions of mine that just weren't aligned with the parts of the life that they were in. So for me, there was kind of this gap, and I felt that something was calling me to come away, to be in Spain, to be in a different country. And there was this intuitive feeling that I felt I wanted to go after. But there was also a huge logical part of me that was saying you need to stay in the UK. It's the thing that you should be doing, and that's where you should always be, and sort of that traditional thinking. But again, I had felt like I was feeling different about being at home. And I think of the film After Sun, and Paul Mescal's character in that film says this quote, something along the lines of, there's this feeling when you leave the place where you're from and you return that you never really felt like you belonged. And for me, that hit me so hard because I've traveled a lot. I've been moving around last year, I've been moving around at the start of the year. I've moved around for the entirety of since I pretty much turned 18. I've never really been in one place for a very long time, and I've not been there for multiple years at one time. I've always been moving, whether it's through sport, professional cricket, or just eventually my work that has allowed me to move around. And I didn't feel like I wanted to be there. So Spain was drawing me, and Barcelona especially, because I felt like I had this childhood connection here. I first got a sports shirt or a football shirt, and it was a Barcelona shirt when my parents brought us out here and we visited. My parents had had us traveling around when we were kids, and so Barcelona just suddenly was something that I had this connection with. I'd also had history later on in life, and it was somewhere that I'd been before and visited. So I knew the area, I knew what it was about. I knew the area of Catalonia and sort of what the culture was like, and I really, really had enjoyed it. So I wanted to dive into it more. I was also inspired to come out to Spain because my former sports psychologist had done something similar, and a big part of me being here was to actually learn Spanish and immerse myself in Spanish. It's something that I actually wanted to do professionally and personally, but I have this goal of wanting to work with Spanish people and be able to speak Spanish to those clients in the future, and that's a big thing that I just personally want to do. And also it was a part of my business move. But the whole move in general was not a smart business move. There was a huge logical part of me that was saying, don't make this move because it's not actually a good business move. It didn't really make sense. But it was purely driven on intuition. There was just something telling me to come out here. And if I didn't make that decision, that I felt I would regret it. I would look back on my life being an old man and regret not making that decision rather than just making it. And even if it didn't work out, if it didn't pan out, I would be okay with that. And I think the old me would have taken the logical road. And I've done so many decisions in my past where I chose the logical option and regretted it. And so this was an opportunity staring me in the face where it didn't make sense. There were so many reasons why not to do it. And yet I decided to go and lean into my intuition and lean into the thing that was just drawing me out here. And I'm telling you, I am so glad I did it. I'm so glad I did, because now it makes sense. But when I got here, what I found was sort of what I was hoping for was this open and social culture that Spain offers. In the UK, we are a little bit more closed off. We tend to be in our homes a little bit more. The weather plays a huge role in that. The fact that we have 300 days of cloud or rain is just something that really plays on your mind quite a lot. And for someone who works on their own, that is something that created huge amounts of isolation for me, just always being inside and then not, especially in the winter months, you don't get much sunlight. So going outside was really challenging. So I wanted to go to a culture that was much more outside, much more open, and again, more social, because as I mentioned, when you're 35, your friendship groups reduce, or the amount of friends that you have starts to reduce, and the amount of friendship groups that are solidified stay there. And so making new friends at 35 is challenging. It's just not as easy as many people think. When I got here in Spain, within the first 2 weeks, I met more people here in the first 2 weeks than I'd met in the last 6 months in the UK, just because there are more people that are in my situation as a 35-year-old that are kind of looking for friends and looking for people to meet. They're sort of either similar boat as you, they're kind of the black sheep of where they're from, or they're trying to build a life out here. They've maybe got remote working, but they're open to making new friends and new connections. And so those experiences, and there's far more events and things that you can go to that allowed you to do it. I went to meetups, I went to language exchanges that just allowed you to meet all these different people, and networking opportunities as well are out here, because there is business, there is work, and people are trying to develop themselves here. So I felt as I got here, I was meeting new people, I was embedding myself into the culture, and the culture itself is much more social. The first 2 weeks were raining. Every day was raining, and you'd look out onto the streets and people, if it rains in the UK, people just go home and hunker down, and then they say, I'll see you tomorrow. But here it was like, no, we must have social connection. And they would be under an umbrella and drinking their beer or their wine or their soft drink and chatting, connecting. And that is a huge part of their life, that once work had finished, at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, the day then continued, and there was still another day to be had in the evening, and there were things to be done. So that was something that really drew me to being out here. And I think the fact that you can have those social connections from a dating point of view, hugely important. The food, the freshness of the food, the fact that there's like fruit and vegetable shops on every corner around here is incredible. And I was able to do all of this and still continue my work. I was still able to continue doing my coaching, my podcast, developing my app, because I'm incredibly privileged to be able to do that and have that ability to be remote. But I'm also proud of the fact that I've built my business to be able to have that. So there is, yes, maybe the drawback that I wasn't able to develop my business at the rate I wanted to. But coming out here, meeting new people, networking, I've actually gained new opportunities. And there was initially this worry of it would pull my business backwards, and it looks like it's going to push it forwards. So that resistance I was feeling has actually come out and built something for me. So all of this has taught me some amazing lessons. One of them, for sure, is if you have this intuitive feeling that you have inside of something that you want to make a decision on, you feel like there is something that doesn't really make sense, but you know your gut is telling you to do it, and you feel like the other option is to play it safe, choose the logical option, follow your intuition. I promise you, you will not regret it. I feel like I will not die unhappy knowing that I followed my intuition, tried things out, and by coming onto the other side of that intuition and that resistance and that friction, there has been some amazing things that I'm so looking forward to going forward. There are people that I've met and brought into my life that I now am so happy for that, and the experiences and the connections I've made. I can only say that that resistance, that worry will pay off, but it's so hard to feel like it's the right thing to do in the moment. And I can only say that right now is where I'm at. So that resistance, it's a signal. It's a signal that's worth doing. It's hard, it's challenging, but follow that intuition and follow that feeling, because you won't regret it moving forward. The other one was the fact that surround yourself with people that get you and people who get what you're doing. In the UK, it's a little bit more cynical, a bit more pessimistic. Here, it's so much more open, and I needed people like that. I just needed that small amount of encouragement. I felt accepted. The ideas that I had, the way I am, the person I am, I just felt more accepted. So getting myself around those types of people felt like the right thing to do. It felt like that I wasn't crazy for some of the things that I was doing and the things that I was chasing after. So all of these feelings of, am I doing the right thing? people were more open to listening to it here because they're just more open in their ideas. And that's not to say that they aren't there in the UK or they aren't there in where you're at. It was just the fact that I have been able to go out and find them here. I've been incredibly lucky to do that. And so I encourage you, if you don't feel like those people that are around you get you, find those people, try and put yourself out of that comfort zone, follow your intuition, go into areas where you feel like those people exist and you won't regret it. This was something that I wanted to do just because of the experience I've had and the lessons I've learned. It's a different video, but hopefully it gives you some insight into what is possible out there and that fact of following your intuition. It is one of the best things that I've ever done, and I'm so thankful I've done it. And I won't regret this trip. I'm going back to the UK with a clear mind, a full heart, and real hope for the future and excitement. And I hope this brings you the encouragement to go out there, follow that intuition, take that leap, especially when it feels the toughest to do it. Making that jump right when it feels the hardest sometimes can be the biggest thing that pays off. I'll see you later.